All kinds of things going on, you know. Good afternoon, everybody. Appreciate everybody being here, and I want to start by thanking our fans. I think we all saw that the type of energy they created, the atmosphere they created was absolutely electric and impactful and a difference maker for us. And it was also great to see so many alum at the game. I mean, a lot of guys that I got to watch growing up, guys I played with, guys I had a chance to coach, be a GA when they were here. And they came strong. You know, I think it was over 250, and you know, I think that should be the standard for us on those weekends, and then campus as well in our administration, because homecoming week, the buzz, the energy, just there was an unbelievable feeling in the air as it relates to the University of Miami and community, and it allows our players to learn more and more about the great history of our university and our program, and certainly take more pride in being a Miami Hurricane. So, and then of course, number one, and most importantly, the players for coming out and setting the tone right away, taking the ball, going down the field and scoring, and taking control of the game, and winning in a rivalry game that we always know how important that is for us, for our players, our alumni, our fan base. It's as important as it gets, and they went out and they got it done, and proud of them for that. So that being said, questions, please.
There are a couple of things. Are there plans for, I would assume, anyone who wants to go can, but are there plans for the entire team to be with Mark for the services?
Yes, sir.
To the point you made both Saturday night and now about the atmosphere, everyone knew this game would be a sellout, obviously, and it had. Everybody was on red alert for a big game. Everyone knew that. How do you continue that same energy, even if the crowd is 66,200 on Saturday?
Well, it's, you know, Miami loves a winner, always has, and I think it's a town that you look at in history, all the different teams, franchises that have played here. It's the coaches that have had success. They were tough SOBs, and they worked like absolute maniacs to produce a winner. And because the city loves backing a winner, and when the teams win, they come out in full force, and it's a different kind of energy. I think anybody that's been here for, name it, Miami Hurricane National Championships, Miami Dolphins Super Bowls, Miami Heat, World Championships, the Panthers this past year, the Marlins, it takes on just an entirely different mood and mode as a city, and we felt that. Our players felt that on Saturday. I mean, just pulling up, it was so different. It was off the charts, and I think we'll see that trend continue to get stronger and stronger, and looking forward to seeing it on Saturday.
Mario, you've said before that you guys are going to find ways to win games when Cam Ward isn't being the Cam Ward that we saw through the first half of the season. To see the run game, the defense, see everybody contribute to that last week when Ward was good, but wasn't what you saw with a lot of things during the start season. How good was it to see the whole team put a game together like that?
Well, I think it's always awesome to see our team come together. They support each other extremely well on the sideline, regardless of the circumstances. And Cam did play a good game. I think at the end of the day, they dared us to run the ball. And so we did for, 33, 34 times for 7+ yards a pop. We're very physical at the point of attack, finished blocks well down the field, and popped some big runs. And when, we had the ball 8 times in total, and we scored on 7 of those. We usually average, I think, 12 possessions a game. So, you do the math there, you could see what type of game this was on its way to being, with 12 possessions. So I think it also shows that we can be effective in many different ways, and that and I think it's awesome to see the support of the quarterback, for his tight end to have a higher completion percentage rate than him in the game.
Does that mean there's a quarterback controversy between Elijah Royal and
No, I think we'll be okay in that department, but it was really, it's strong to see these guys interact with each other, and I think it's even stronger when you see them get together today, understanding that there's no sense of, hey, we are a perfect thing, I think everyone fully understands that for us to go to where we want to go, we have to do, a lot of things better, to a standard that we have set for ourselves has to be reached on a more consistent basis, and that's great to be around because you could work hard, you can push, and not worry about sensitivity, moods, or feelings.
Beating Florida State, Florida, USF, and your family in 1 year, kind of earn that state championship. So how big of an impact do you think that's going to have on the recruiting trails when you're trying to preach to, in-state prospects?
Well, I think it shows certainly trajectory. I think it also shows validation of things that we had preached and things that we had been working on, and I think people had seen it in practice. And it's one of the goals of the year, and it's also important that once that was done, the clock hit 12, and we were on to the next one. So as important as those things are, and they're acknowledged, they're recognized and respected. It'll carry some weight in some of that stuff because I think people see style of play and physicality and also player development, particularly at the high school level. I think the best part and the best thing we did was turn the page and focus on Duke.
Mario, speaking of Duke, obviously, Manny Diaz was your predecessor. How much have you guys just crossed paths in your professional lives?
Not much. There's been some games where I was an offensive line coach at Alabama, and Coach Diaz was a defense coordinator at Mississippi State and Middle Tennessee when I was at FIU, but aside from that, not much.
Gotcha. And then obviously their defense is very good, a very good turnover margin, forced a lot of fumbles, got a lot of sacks. What have you seen from their defense on film?
Really impressive. Really impressive. I mean, they force a lot of turnovers. Besides the turnover margin, I mean, third down, they're excellent. Red zone, they're excellent. Tackles for loss, I believe they're second or third in the country, if not first. Very disruptive. They play really hard. I think the fact that they have had that type of production is part of it. They have really good players, but they scheme it up really well, and the guys play really, really hard.
I know it's not your job to tout other schools in the conference, but when you look at the ACC right now, obviously you are what you are right now. Pitt is undefeated. Clemson is playing much better than I think maybe some people expected. It's kind of like an annual question. Do you feel like people slept on the ACC again, in that there are an awful lot of good football teams in the top 6, 7 of this conference, it seems like.
Yeah, there are. And I think I used to see that from afar. Like certain coaches were recruiting certain players and building the foundation of their rosters and whatnot. And you see some heavy talent at the quarterback position in the trenches, which I think is very underrated. I don't think enough trench players get enough credit in this conference. And then you see some of the explosive playmakers on both sides of the ball. It's this league is having a strong year. We'll continue to get stronger. I know that the investment, by the commissioner and the powers that be has been excellent. And it's good. And you know what? I think teams will continue to have opportunities, but as you know, our focus will always be one program only. But to your point, yes, sir.
You've been at places in the past where teams have successfully navigated the month of November. What are the traits of those teams that are able to do that?
Internally driven. They're just self-motivated, appetite for betterment. Just they're restless, man. They don't care about anything. They don't take any time to waste on social media. They don't really spend any moment they could invest in watching film on talking about rankings or ratings or none of that stuff. They're restless, they're pissed, they're upset, they just want to get better, they stay mad. And again, that positive anger, that stuff burns clean, and I think we're trying to acquire that type of a DNA, and we've got to keep working on it and get it better and better.
Mario, this will be the first time that not only two Cuban Americans will face each other as head coaches, but two assistant head coaches will be in different sidelines. I know your parents will be very proud of it, your generation. What do you have to say about that?
I mean, obviously, I'm proud of my heritage. I mean, my parents were the best thing in the world. They were the toughest SOBs I've ever been around, and thank God they were. I think football is the greatest sport in the world, and I think there's no discrimination. It doesn't matter where you come from, what you look like, the color of your skin, your ethnicity, your language, your hairstyle. If you work your tail off and if the right opportunity hits you, you get a chance. and I'm grateful for the opportunities that Coach Mirabal and I have received throughout the years. You know, I know Coach Infante really well. You know, he was a tremendous friend and ally when I was at Rutgers University in my first Power 5 job. So I think, I think even more important than that part, I think that we need more people that are good for young people, if that makes sense. So when it comes to coaching and stuff like that, man, wherever and however they come, we just need great ones to keep mentoring and leading our young people to be the best they can be.
You could speak for probably an hour on this topic, but I've never asked you this, so I apologize. I'm sure you've been asked before. How is Alex Mirabal what he is? I mean, how quarterbacks, they can be great quarterback coaches, kickers, no kicking. He is not a 6'5", 330-pound offensive lineman type individual. How has he been this excellent for this long, teaching that particular skill?
Yeah, I mean, I've known him, and we were teammates in high school, and he was, none of that stuff ever matters. It didn't matter when he was a player on our offensive line back in the day. And I mean, at the end of the day, he's, you know, from the professional standpoint, he's the best human being I know and the best teacher I know. And I think if you ask our players, they'll tell you the same thing. His presence, his knowledge, his humility, his ability to change people's lives in a positive way and impact others is just different. And there's no ego involved, you know. Headstrong like an offensive line coach should be, you know. I mean, a guy's going to bring it every single day, but it's a battle, you know, to try to beat him to the office. It's the one guy that, man, just different, you know, one of a kind. One of a kind.
Is he, I know you have many sounding boards in the profession, but is, in a moment where you just need clarity on something, is that the first guy you think of that you turn to?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Mario, Akeem Azador, what strides have you seen him make this year, especially since he's playing more inside and outside? How have you seen him progress as the season's gone on?
Unselfish, selfless. I mean, his sack on fourth down, if you take a look at that rep, the way he dips and rips and comes out of it, and he's getting held and tugged and pushed, and he still finds a way to wrap up the quarterback and get him to the ground with, you know, Tyler Barron jumped on that as well. And that just is an example of the way he plays. He has great pad level, super smart. He can play every position, and he does. And he's done it, again, unselfishly, because he, he predominantly spent his time at the edge, playing both the jack position, and the field end position. But he is so versatile. He's got so much power and explosiveness. And, you know, his body weight, he's up 285 plus. You know, so that guy he's grown as a person, as a leader. He's on the leadership council, and that guy he knows one speed. He goes hard. That guy's a extremely impactful guy in our program.
Coach, over the last 2 weeks, Damien Martinez has kind of really shown out. Just what do you think is different, or anything about him these last 2 weeks?
Well, I think people don't realize that, man. Again, he was kind of a late signee addition, and he never had a chance to really spend a lot of time with us till camp. And I know he's got a lot of experience, I know, but it's still a different scheme. You know, it's still a different language. It's still different verbiage. The guys were messing with him, saying, "Hey, felt you were wearing your Oregon State uniform the other night," and that's why he came out the block so hot. But he's a student of the game, and he's now really fully feeling and understanding what we're doing, and he's running hard. He's running angry. And I think his relationship with Mark Fletcher and the rest of that offensive line, the rest of the offensive line as well, but the rest of that running back room and his coaches, I think he's just ready, man. He's ready to explode, and the opportunity was there, and it was awesome to see him take off like he did.
You've been asked a couple of times about Michael Irvin being on the sideline. Saturday night was obviously kind of who's who of Canes football, with Ray Lewis and everybody, basically. How valuable is that they're literally one step away from getting in a guy's ear and helping? I don't know if volunteer assistant coach is a legal term, but
Yeah, compliance is back there. You better watch out, man. They, some of those guys look like they can still play and probably can. You look at the old games back in 80s and 90s. Look at that sideline, how littered it was with real deal dudes, like into it, passionate, love Miami, bleed orange and green dudes, and how much of an an attraction that was. As a player, I used to kill to get over here and watch these guys go at it. So, and we had, I don't know what the count was for recruits that were there, but it broke every and all records that we've ever had. And they got to see that. So they got to witness a great game, great atmosphere, the brotherhood, all the things that we all know Miami should be all the time. So it was a great step in terms of progress in that direction. And those guys there, and I know they're busy, man. They all got, separate, different things going on in their lives. But the more we could have them here, the better. And we're looking forward to seeing them again week after week.
When you took the job, and you talked about getting Miami back, that broad term back to everything that Miami was, how important is that, Mario, to have the alumni play not just a FaceTime role, but a significant role in molding, mentoring, teaching, that sort of thing?
Yeah, they, in essence, in the community and out and throughout the rest of the country, they have to lead the charge. They have to take a couple of whatever many years it was. I don't know. I won't get into that, but they have to spearhead the whole. Like, hey, this was always an unbelievable brotherhood, and that's what made it what it was. And so it's 2024. We're not gonna go backwards. We're gonna go forward, tighten this thing up, and bring everybody together, so that people understand that when Miami comes together, it's unbreakable. So really, really important, significant.
Wesley left the game on an injury late in the game on Saturday. I don't think he came back in. Is that something serious, or is that something you might learn from this week?
Wesley is full go, 100%.
What do you like about the way Zach Carpenter's handled the job through these first 8 games?
That guy is rugged, and that guy is tough, and that guy is super intelligent. That guy made some calls on Saturday. You saw some of the stuff we did in the open sets and guys coming back inside the box or whatnot, and how they rotated their coverage and slid a guy over or whatnot. So you have to, he's like the traffic cop. He's got to sometimes point things, run past, whatever it may be. And he was on point with his IDs to a different level and made some adjustments that allowed us to pop some big runs and have some really good success on most of our protections. So he's been invaluable, and he's fun to be around now. He is he's a throwback. Zach likes to mix it up, man. That guy would play till you turn off the lights and send him home. He's that type of a player.
How about just special teams? It seems like, obviously this past game, special teams played a big role in that outcome, but also Duke has had success blocking kicks and punts. Yeah,
well, there was a massive improvement from our week in Louisville. We had a terrible time out there covering kicks, and in this game, Dylan Day, Bobby and Robbie Washington both played some of the best football they have played for us on special teams. Darius Hayes was outstanding. Zaquan Patterson was great. Bobby Pruitt, all those guys made a tremendous difference. In the way we covered kicks, and not only was it one hat to the ball, it was more than that. Even our snapper, Mason, he did a great job getting down there, and him and I believe Dylan and Robbie just converged on that one punt. We punted once, and they got the guy down really almost I think it was a loss of one or whatnot. So tremendous improvement in that area.
You referred at the outset to players Saturday night helping them learn more about about this place and the history. You didn't. Is it true that in '88, I think when you got here, you didn't need that as much as they do because it was right in the midst of a dynasty? And what is the difference, do you think, between those two experiences?
It's a big difference. I walked into a locker room that was led by some monsters. Monsters of the game. Good people. Being a freshman, because the level of competition was borderline terrifying because of how good they were, how physical they were and whatnot, and you go out there to practice and you get beat up pretty good playing football, but within 2 or 3 weeks after earning your stripes, these guys would take you in and put an arm around you and say, hey man, you're a hurricane or blood. And I think that took care of itself. And when there's a gap historically like what Miami has gone through, you've got to reteach those principles without taking your guys backwards mentally. It's all forward thinking while understanding the importance of what this place was built on. And I know there's a lot of unbelievable moments, and there's a lot of energy and hype and everything else, but this place was built on a lot of hard work. Like hard work and tough ass sons of guns that just went at it every single day. Guys that refused to lose. And guys that really didn't care about the outside world or any other teams. They weren't concerned about all that nonsense. They just want to work and get better and win. And that's what we look for now. There's certainly more community service opportunities nowadays, so our guys are really out there in the community. So as much as our community gets to know more about local guys like Ruben Bain, Wesley, Mark Fletcher, you know, Ray and all those guys, they also get to meet guys like Cam Ward, Damien Martinez, you know. They get to see guys like Zach Carpenter, Francis Mainoa contributing. So that part of it is just as important as any part of the rebuild.
Thank you, Coach.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Have a good day.
Season low for points, you must be very disappointed.
Season, that shows you how much statistical analysis you have. Season low for points, season high for points per drive.
Well, there you go.
It's whatever matters to you, brother.
You should have had more drives.
Yeah, we had 8.
I feel like we ask you some version of this every week, but to score 36 points in a rivalry game,
Yeah.
there was obviously a lot of defense being played on both sides, to be very fair. Was it, people look at the numbers and say it wasn't 50, 60, whatever.
Right.
Was it the most satisfying of the year or right up there?
I don't know about most satisfying. I mean, the goal is to win every game every week, right? Try to go 1-0. And so how the game plays out is always interesting to me because, you know, games, you know, you have plans going into games and they have plans. And so you got to adjust accordingly through the course of the game. And so that game played out like it played out. You know, it was pretty evident from the beginning that we were pushing them around up front. I mean, we were getting 8 to 10 yards a carry, you know, and their safeties, which typically play pretty aggressive, were really hanging back. And so the structure of their defense, you know, I don't think they thought we would be patient and run the ball. But when you're getting 8 to 10 a clip, you know, it's not that we didn't throw it. We threw it, you know, 36 times or whatever. But, I mean, there was probably 5 or 6 plays out there that could have got us, like, you know, we missed a couple deep balls and stuff like that, which we've been hitting. So, you know, but I do give credit to those guys. I give credit to their defense. I think their defense is very talented. Their D-line's very talented. But I just felt the flow of the game tilting to us up front and our running backs. And so, you know, it was just what we did to win the game.
We asked Mario about this on Saturday, but I guess how nice of a moment was it that not only was Mark Fletcher able to play,
Yeah.
he's able to get the first one.
Yeah, that was big. I mean, we all know what he's going through. If you've ever lost a parent, which I'm sure there's people in here that have. I lost my mom 3 years ago, so I mean, I know exactly what he's going through, and so it's not easy, and it doesn't get any easier, to be quite honest, you know. So time goes on, but it still hits you, and it is what it is. And for him to play on Saturday and to play like he played, you know, wow, it's pretty special.
What were some of your conversations with him after you found out just leading into game day? Well, what were you able to do to try to...
What did I tell him?
Anything, yeah. What,
I mean, look, I basically just told him I don't have the words, you know. I love him and I don't have the words and we're here for you. I mean, what else? I don't know what else you tell a kid, you know. It's words cheapen those moments because nobody has the words. It's just part of life and part of life that people don't equip you for. And so it's rough.
In that situation, is it his decision to play? Like, how do you handle that as a coaching staff?
I didn't really talk about, I mean, that was conversations with him and coach, I think, but I don't think there was ever a question in Mark's mind that what was going to happen. I think he knew that that's what his dad would have wanted, and so, you know.
Play like Texas in your back pocket.
Yeah.
How nice, I mean, mean, I guess, what's the trick to knowing exactly when to pull it at the right time?
Where it is on the field is big, and where it is on the hash. And so it just happened to be in that specific situation that if it was on the right hash, I would have called something else, but it was on the left hash, and so we were running it on purpose because, you know, Elijah can throw the football and he's left-handed. So that's very unusual. You know, most people run that play and they run it to the right. So with him being left-handed, I needed it to be on the left hash and to a certain situation and close to the goal line. So it just happened to be a perfect situation.
Is he going to be blowing you up now for a pass?
Probably. It's probably the worst thing that could have happened with both of them, really.
And you scored pretty easily on the first drive.
Yeah.
Then the second drive, they came out and they went sack
Yeah.
on you, which I don't believe anybody who's come close to doing so far this year. What went through your head at that moment? And it seemed like you switched.
Well, what happened was this. So the first drive, obviously, we had a lot of success, scored. The second drive on the second play, we checked. Cam checked to a different play, and the running back had to move over because of the check, and he missed the ID point. And so, you know, they brought some pressure, and we weren't communicated properly from up front to running back because Mark had to move. It's just one of those things that happened. So the sack really was more on communication than like somebody getting beat. And then when we were in a third down, we knew what they were going to do on third down. They were going to mug everybody up, and like when you get in the third and long versus them, they have a certain call they make that mugs everybody up, makes you get the ball out quick. And we had a play that we were going to try to run in that situation, and they defended it well. I mean, they hugged the back, and they defended it well, and we took a sack. And so it was more so on second down communication, and on third down, we were going to try something that was a little risky, and it didn't work out. And so the third down call was more on me and scheme. You know, it could have been huge, or it's just one of those things you gamble with, right? We knew what they were going to do. And then the next two possessions were backed up. So we get the ball on the next possession, we're backed up inside of our 10, and the first play we hit for 12. And so, you know, when you hit it for 12, you keep, you know, you try to capitalize on that momentum. And we kind of ran it all the way down the field. We mixed it in some passes, but we kind of ran it 95 yards. And then the next possession, we were backed up again. And so we started off and we ran it and hit a few. But it was more so of like where we got the ball on those next two possessions and trying to play smart football. I mean, look, it's part of my mindset going in that game was if we got the ball backed up, I was going to be a little bit more conservative because their offense isn't necessarily just scoring a lot of points, so I didn't want to give them anything easy. And we were running the ball really well, and so when I got in those situations backed up, I wanted to kind of get it out a little bit.
Talking about the running game, you know, over the last 2 weeks, Damien Martinez looks at taking strides in the right direction.
Yes.
What have you seen from him progression-wise?
Everything you see, to be honest. I mean, he's running with a lot of confidence. And, you know, he's hard to tackle. He's a big guy. He's hard to tackle. He's seeing things way better. Again, kind of what we talked about with Sam a week ago. A lot of times when new guys come in, it takes them a little bit, right? And so I think you see right now with the way he's playing is what we expect from him, right?
Shannon, I saw a stat that you guys have only gone 3 and out on about 3% of drives this year, which is the lowest among any team in about 20 years. Besides the obvious, like you don't have to go 3 and out, just what positives do longer drives, what benefits does that bring to the offense and to the whole team?
I mean, I think that, you know, I've never really obsessed about time of possession. I really haven't, because I do think that at times that's kind of a useless stat, because if you're scoring quick, you're not going to be out there, and that still counts as a touchdown, right? But I do think that there's benefits of having the defense off the field and kind of wearing down their defense a little bit, you know, if we can get them running sideline to sideline and tackle us. So it's more about first downs, in my opinion, like getting first downs. You know, I don't really obsess about explosive plays. Those just kind of tend to happen if you're making routine plays with great effort. But I do think that stat is very much like our mindset as an offense is to get first downs, you know, to put the ball in play and get first downs. And a lot of it has to do with our third down percentage is good. And we talked about that last week. I mean, some of that's, you know, guys making plays. Some of it's Cam scrambling around and getting a first down. It all kind of works together and understanding that third down is the last down and keep it going. And we're pretty aggressive on fourth down too, which keeps the chains going. So I think all that kind of builds onto each other.
Like the receivers did last week with creating separation.
I thought we could have done better, to be quite honest with you. I think they're decent cover-wise. We had some opportunities down the field that we missed, and we got to be able to make those plays when you're covered too. You know, that's just part of it. And some of it's the ball placement. I mean, we got to give them a chance. A couple of them we didn't. But, you know, I mean, when people are playing tight coverage on you, you know, and we you know, the thing about tight coverage is, you know, vertical slants and stuff like that, you know, and we caught 3 or 4 slant routes, you know, which you make the next guy miss. That's a big one. So, but yeah, I do see what you see. You know, I think that, like, you know, I don't know about the separation part as much as, hey, man, like, people call it a 50-50 ball. I'm not so sure it's a 50-50 ball. It might be, percentages might be a little bit more tilted than that. But we need to make plays with people on us, and we do. You know, we didn't last week, but we will.
Georgia Tech was run heavy against Duke, and it worked for them.
Yeah.
SMU was super run heavy against Duke, and it went well. Is there something about that defense that is just makes you think that's got to be? I know you always want the balance.
Yeah.
But you're going to do what works too.
Right.
Is this a defense that says you have to run it down Mr. Peters?
I don't think so. I think that, you know, we'll see how the game plays out, but ultimately, you know, they're very, like, you look at them defensively, statistically, they're top in the nation in a lot of categories. They're really good on third down. They're really good in tackles for loss. They're really good in sacks. And so the blitz packages they have and the way they move people around is kind of unique. But I do think we're good at protecting, and we're good at getting the ball out quick. And obviously we want to do both very well. And I'm not going to ever go into a game, and I didn't in this game. I mean, if you look at the way the numbers laid down, I mean, we still threw it 36 times in a game that at the end we kind of wasn't even trying to throw it, right? And so, but through the course of the second and third quarter, you know, it was pretty balanced and everything kind of laid out. But the way those games go too, that are kind of getting out of hand at the end, I mean, you're going to run it at the end a little bit more.
Ask Mario about this too, but what is the secret sauce of Alex Mirabal?
I don't know. That's a good question. He's unique and he's awesome at his job. He sees the game in a different way, honestly, up front than anybody I've been around. And just the way that, honestly, the way he gets those 5 guys to be orchestrated together and to be targeted together and to strain their mentality, it's just, it all kind of goes together. And he just does an unbelievable job with that group. And he really does. I mean, he's elite at what he does. He's by far the best I've been around. But I couldn't answer that honestly. You know, I don't know. I know that he's got an unbelievable mind for how blocking schemes work against certain fronts and movements and stuff like that. And so it's a unique deal.
I think the last 2 weeks, Cam has not turned the ball over
Yeah.
at all. Coming out of the bye, do you think there's been an effort with that from him, or that's just the way it's kind of worked out?
No, I think there's been an effort. I mean, we talk about it. I mean, there's situations that you need to be conservative, right? And so I'm never going to take that part of his game away. Never. Like, that's who he is. I want him to be who he is, right? But all of us can kind of cut the edges off at times, right, of the stuff that's kind of, you know, that could hold you back. And so that's my job as a coach, is to help him get better at his craft. And so, you know, I do stress to him that, hey, there are specific times where, you know, throwing the ball away and playing 2nd and 10 is not the worst thing in the world. And I think you saw that Saturday. There was 3 or 4 times where, and honestly, there was probably 3 of those times where they got somebody loose where we had a guy wide open down the field. Some of that stuff don't get factored into some of the things we were talking about earlier. And he extended the play, but when the guy got close enough to him, he threw it away, which is what I really want to see. Like I like him extending plays, but I do think that there is a time that, hey, that guy gets so close to you, let's live to play the next play, right? And so he's done an unbelievable job at that the last 2 games. You know, he's really done a good job of when that guy gets really close to him, he'll throw it away, and we'll be 2nd and 10, not 2nd and 19, right?
We'll do a few more.
Manny Diaz has had success with blitz packages everywhere he's
Yep.
been. What is it that he does that makes it unique and successful?
I mean, they're all over the place. You know, they come from all over, and I think that he does a decent job of breaking down your protections and trying to get you to do something you don't want to do, and bringing it from other angles and all the, you know, stuff that those blitz packages do. And so, you know, a lot of it has to do with, you know, in those certain situations too, certain teams, you know what they're going to do. At this point in the year, you kind of have everybody's are who they are, right? And so, but they do a good job of breaking you down, and they bring pressure, and they cover you well. Really, they do a decent job of covering you. And so their third down defense is probably the best one we've seen this year, to be quite honest with you.
Kind of an oddball one, but do you have a preference? I mean, you can't control it, but do you have a preference about noon games versus 7, 8, midnight in California?
Well, the one in California, I have a preference. I'd rather not play at midnight, you know. And so, but I'm torn, really. I love night games. I mean, that atmosphere was awesome, was elite. As a coach that's done it for 20 plus years, noon games are nice because I'm home with my family at 5. And so, you know, you kind of go back and forth with that as a coach. You like noon games are really nice because it's you're done and you can enjoy the rest of the day that we don't get a lot, right? And so my daughter turned 10 yesterday, so I'll be able to like have a normal family like cake and hang out, you know, at the end of the game. But those night atmospheres are, I mean, they're unbelievable. I mean, look, you can't. Those are unbelievable.
You're making her wait for cake till Saturday?
No, we went to Whip and Dip yesterday. So when I got done work yesterday, she wanted to go to Whip and Dip. So we went to Whip and Dip, got ice cream, and obviously that's ice cream at Whip and Dip is pretty special, right? Yeah. It's a good place.
As an extension of what I asked you a minute ago, do you look back, and you may not, I guess you might not want to answer this, but do you look back at tape from when he was here? I mean, obviously there's mountains of defensive tape from that era.
I look back at a lot. You know, I've played when I was at West Virginia. He was at Texas, and so there's a little bit of background. And so yeah, I do look back at games in the past. But people evolve. You know, I mean, I've evolved offensively, and he's definitely evolved defensively. So I mean, I do look back, but I don't obsess about those as much as this year. You know, the deals this year and the latest stuff is probably the stuff that matters the most, because that's what they feel good about with this certain personnel grouping they have now.
Awesome. Thanks, Coach.
Appreciate it, guys.
Coach Guidry, you get that third quarter shutout against Florida State that you always look for. Just, holding the 2 scores. Does a game like that kind of help the defense build momentum, after that, little 3-game stretch?
Yeah, I think you just keep trying to get better each and every week, and you try to correct mistakes that you've made before, and just hopefully, that they get the things you're trying to do, and just kind of look at what you're doing and try to put them in the best situation. So, it's kind of really more familiar with Florida State and what they do. A lot of things carried over from last year. So the game plan was a lot alike, and we had some good tips on them. So I thought the secondary covered really good.
I'm going to ask you about throughout the year, but how have you seen O.J. Frederique develop as the season's gone on?
Man, he's a really good player. He doesn't blink. The moment's never too big, it seems like. So he got a bright future. I really like his whole demeanor. Never up, never down, can get coached hard, but nothing shakes him at practice. You can coach him hard as you want, and nothing shakes him. So, really good football player.
How common is it for our kid to come in and be willing to be coached hard, and to sort of emerge as the years gone on?
Well, if you knew his family, you knew his dad, kind of how they handle business, just real different family in a good way, like kind of old school. And so him coming, you never know a kid's going to be like he is, but he's really a throwback type kid that you used to be able to coach really hard and just yes sir and just trying to make you happy, kind of like a pleaser. So he's a really good football player. We're excited to have him here. He's a really good get.
I wanted to ask you about Wesley as well. He's always been a super high energy.
Yeah.
You see it already. I see that in your
Yeah.
face already.
Yeah.
Super high energy guy, and sometimes maybe he gets a little bit of the best of him still at times, but he knows how to harness that energy.
He does. That's probably what's the biggest difference with Wesley is his emotions are in the right way now. It was a little scary the other night when he went down. It didn't look good, when his helmet came off and the way he acted. And I was like, oh, man. But everything was good, And so, Wesley's having a good year, playing really fast. He's physical, and really like the way he's playing right now.
With Akeem Mesidor obviously playing bulk inside after being on the edges, how have you seen him evolve, adapt, and progress at that position? How much do he and Simeon sort of feed off each other?
He's getting faster throughout the year, it seems like. Looked like he's getting in true game shape early on. I thought he was getting in shape. He was kind of surviving a little bit, but now you can really see him playing with a lot of effort throughout the whole game. He's always played with high effort, but you can see how quick he is late in the games now, and Barrow's playing really good. Barrow's playing at a really high level, so that's been really good, those two guys inside.
And that's a lot of focus on turnovers in this game because of how good they've been doing with it. I imagine that's something you've probably been focused quite a bit on here over the last month or so, trying to get more of them.
Yeah.
What's the secret sauce?
There is none. You try to stress stripping the ball, interceptions, getting your hands on balls, tip balls, all that, but it seems like they come in bunches. When they start coming, they come, and sometimes there's droughts. Some teams, I've coached different places in different years where we've had a lot of turnovers and few, and really sometimes the fewer ones have been better defenses. You just don't know, but a lot of turnovers last week for Duke. We can't turn the ball over that many times on offense for sure, but we'll try and do our share of getting our hands on some balls, and hopefully we can get a score on defense. That always helps.
There's a play when they bring 10 in motion and Hill is following them. If Hill starts rolling his arms, it kind of flares out and they score the touchdown. It's 2 versus 3. What's supposed to happen? What was supposed to happen there?
Oh, when he motioned across, he's saying roll it, roll it, roll it. What happened, I was trying to get Mish to blitz instead of Porter because the situation we was in, we was in the all-out man pressure. And, of course, Porter is a cover guy. So I was trying to get Mish, but we didn't get it swapped. And because they're used to banjoing with each other a lot. So as you saw Diani coming over, he was rolling it, but Mish never saw him there. But they were supposed to trade off that because they was running a pick flood to the boundary. And as a guy comes, when they roll it, it means it's a banjo. And if 3 goes flat, Mish would take the 3 in the flat, and he would take the final 3. So it was just a switch that we didn't get. So that's what ended up happening.
When the offense, your offense, Miami's offense, is controlling time of possession and scoring points, does that change your approach at all defensively with how you want to play complementary football?
Yeah. When you're ahead and you're holding on to the ball and you're scoring, it kind of changes offenses, and you can expect things on defense. So you don't have to get as aggressive. You can call more pass coverage stuff and keep it in front of you. But when it's back and forth, and there's momentum swings, and then they're starting to take shots, and then they're running, it's just hard. Last year we were behind in games, but people didn't take shots as much. They felt like if they hung on the ball, don't do nothing stupid, that they could win, that we couldn't outscore them. That's not the case no more. They know that we can score points. So, but when we get out in front, we can expect it better. But when it's close game, you don't know what you're going to get. So when we get out in front and we handle, don't turn over the ball, and we like taking the time away from them and scoring points, it's a lot easier to play defense.
Malik Murphy, the Duke quarterback, having a pretty solid year, coming up, I think, his best game of the year against a good SMU team. Just what are you using for what he's put on film?
He gets the ball out of his hand extremely fast. He's not a big-time scramble guy. If you pressure him, he'll buy time with his feet, but he's trying to throw. But, he's going to catch the ball, drop back, and when his back foot hits, he's going to get the ball out. So he's going to throw it on time. He's got some good receivers. Got a big kid, number 8, and he's got some guys in the slot that can run. So we're going to have to stop the run as well. But he's got a good RPO game. I think they got some talent, So good wide receiver core, quarterbacks, accurate at times. Throws a really good deep ball. He didn't overthrow him a lot. He puts it because he's got some good targets. He's got his inside guys can go get the ball, so he don't overthrow him much because they can run. Then the big kid, number 8, he's a physical kid. He'll throw it to some back shoulder throws and stuff. So it's always he got a chance to catch the ball. So downfield is probably what he does best. I do think intermediate, he's a little bit up and down, but a good football player, man. He's having a good year.
I know you're focused on your team and Duke this week, obviously, but when you look around college football, you guys are unbeaten. Oregon, Penn State. There's some really good feel-good stories like Iowa State, Indiana, Army. Just how good is yes, people have their opinions on NIL, but there's the expanded playoff and all this stuff. Just how good is the product of college football right now? It just seems like it's always obviously an enormous deal. It just seems like there's buzz earlier this year, about the end of the year, than maybe we've seen in the past.
I don't know how good other people are. I watch them on TV. Sometimes you watch on TV and it can be deceiving. Because I watch the game live on the sideline, but when you watch it again on TV, you look faster and you look better. Or you look worse. But on the sideline, it's different. It's a different feel. I'm just trying to win every week. When I got here, they hadn't had a good season the year before. We had some things we needed to do. I remember I was asked, could I stop the counter by Florida State, and could we get off the field on 3rd down? That was the main 2 things people asked me, I said, well, I'll blitz enough, or they can't run counter. On 3rd down, we'll mix it up. So that's 2 areas that we're doing well at. But, just to be in a position we're in right now, this late in the year, and have the wins that we have, which is good. But each week it's 1-0 mentality. It really is. You just look at the next opponent, you go on, you try to put the best plan together. The kids aren't too up, they're really looking at it one game at a time, which is really good. Our best football, I think, is at the end. We're not there yet, which is good. We haven't played a complete game as a team, I don't think. So I'm just excited that the growth of some players, and it's going to pay off. It's going to pay off in the future.
Marquise Williams seems to bring some energy to the defensive backfield when he's out there. Talk to us a little bit about Marquise, and will we see a little bit more of him?
Marquise is a combo guy. He can play a little bit of safety. He plays a little bit of corner. We worked him this week at some corner stuff. He plays a lot of big role on special teams. So, he's a guy that's kind of a plug-and-play guy. But, at free safety, it's hard to take Mish off the field because he makes all the checks for the defense. And Zaquan, we're getting in there more and more. He tweaked his hamstring a little bit, but he's good. It was actually a cramp, not as much a tweak, which was awesome. Harris played well. So, Marquise will put in when we need, and we also might need him at corner. So.
You said you're excited about development of some players. Who comes to mind?
Well, Zaquan gets better and better. Robbie's getting better at practice. You can see it, and it's starting to pay off on the kickoff team and on special teams. Dylan Day's playing really good. Usually young guys that play special teams end up developing quicker when you play them on defense the following year. So if they're playing well on special teams, it pays off the next year because it's not like the first time they played. If they're not playing on special teams as a freshman, then it's going to be a harder transition for them the next year because the game's going to be really fast. So we got Mack back, Ryan Mack. He's doing some good things at practice one-on-one. So I like our young guys. You know, some of the linebackers are still going through, you know, learning stuff. The Hayes kid, Bobby Pruitt, some of the defensive linemen as well on scout team. I think Justin Scott's playing better and better. He's not playing as much, but you can see it at practice. So we're progressing the young guys.
Mac is from the same youth football park as Frederick, same high school as Frederick. Could we see some of the same thing you see out of Frederick with him getting on the field?
Ryan's fast. You know, Ryan had a setback with a leg, so he was. I mean, I think he just got cleared maybe a couple weeks ago. So that's a long time to miss. You know, he missed all the installation and all those things. So we're just trying to get him caught up to speed with just playing fast at a fast tempo. He plays on scout team. He does one-on-ones and things like that. But this year it's kind of late right now because he missed so much. But another guy that can run, and I'm looking for good things from Ryan.
You said last week that cleaning up tackling would clean up a lot of the explosive issues that were happening. Did you feel like this last game you saw signs of the
I thought we tackled better on everybody but the quarterback. I said, who is he? I mean, is this Fran Tarkenton or Johnny Manziel? I mean, we couldn't tackle the guy, you know. But he's a competitor. He is that. So I thought we tackled well, you know. We really played really well the first half. If we could have got off the field on the third down and 10, which we had a line game that we didn't execute, they ended up making a first down, and then that led to the quarterback, whatever happened. So if we'd have got out of that, it'd have like 50 yards of offense in the first half. You know, at the end of the game, they end up getting in, but it is what it is. You know, we won the football game 2 years ago. I think it was 45-3 they beat us. They had over 300-something yards rushing. So in a couple years, things have flipped big time.
Since you brought it up, what happened on that fourth and one where you just disappeared into a maze of people and somehow got out?
You're going to be sick when I tell you what really happened. So we got word from Florida State that they were trying to draw us off sides on a freeze. The center snapped it by mistake. Mesidor shoots nobody moved when he snapped it, but Mesidor has the guy tackled and starting to slip off of him. Their offensive tackle takes the quarterback and pulls him, and he comes out the backside and goes for 50 yards. We stopped the counter, but we couldn't stop the quarterback sneak on a non-play.
That's a heck of a play.
It's a heck of a play. I'd run it every time. That's what really happened, though. Yeah. But you know what? In this game, anything can happen. That's life. You know, you can have everything, do what you're supposed to do, go get education, marry, all that. Something bad's going to happen in life. It's how you respond to it. So really wasn't nobody's fault. It's just one of those things that happen. Huh? No, it wasn't that bad, but it is when it's a quarterback sneak that wasn't, when you really find out it wasn't supposed to be a play, you know, so it is what it is.
Part of that, you were expecting them to try to draw you offside?
No, that's what we were playing defense. I mean, they brought in 14 personnel, which is 4 tight ends, a running back, and a quarterback, and we got in there and we got in gap defense. We got in 2A gaps, 2B, and we had the backers behind them, and we locked up the tight ends. And I had corners off the outside and a free safety, and they were just trying to draw us off sides. We didn't know that until after the game. One of the coaches told us that that big play was actually not a play, that they were just trying to draw us off sides with a freeze, just trying to hard count us to make us jump. And their center snapped the ball when he wasn't supposed to. It was supposed to be a no play. And Mesidor was the only one that moved, and he had the quarterback behind. So, we stopped him, and then slid off, and he came out the back door, so.
Some ranking by 42 yards.
Whatever. We won. We won. That's the main thing. So.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Coach.